You didn't hear this from me, darling, but there's a little storm brewing in the wizarding world, and it isn't coming from a teacup in Professor Trelawney's tower. It's coming from Hollywood boardrooms. Everyone keeps talking about the upcoming Harry Potter TV series, yes? HBO Max's grand retelling, promising one book per season. But here's the twist, the deliciously dramatic twist. Netflix might swoop in, like a Hungarian horntail, and steal the whole thing. No, really, that isn't just wild fan theory. Let me explain before you think I've had one too many butterbeers. So here's the situation. Warner Bros., the proud keeper of Harry Potter, the owner of HBO Max, the studio behind everything from Batman to Bugs Bunny, well, they're splitting themselves up by 2026. Think of it like dividing Hogwarts into two houses. One house gets all of the glittering jewels, Harry Potter, DC superheroes, HBO. The other house? Cable networks, news channels, and, let's say, a less magical reputation. That first half, the shiny half, is essentially being dangled on the market, a big fat for sale sign, glowing brighter than the dark mark. And who's sniffing around? Paramount, yes. NBC Universal, yes. But the whispers say Netflix is the one truly preparing their Gringotts vaults. Because they don't just want Warner Bros., they may need it. Netflix has been king of the streaming castle for years, but then Disney arrived with its armies of Marvel and Star Wars, Amazon bought its way into Middle-earth, and poor Netflix, what's their crown jewel? Stranger Things. A brilliant gem, certainly, but not exactly a universe you can spin 10 spin-offs from without it feeling, well, upside down. Imagine it, though. If Netflix owns Warner Bros., suddenly they're not just the home of quirky originals. They'd have Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. They'd have Harry blinking Potter. Two of the biggest fandoms in history. The kind of properties that make you, yes you, hesitate before cancelling that subscription. Because where else would you go for the next Wizarding World series? But let's pause. What does that actually mean for us fans? Well, look at Disney's strategy. They bought Marvel and Star Wars, then drowned us in content. Sequels, prequels, spin-offs, side quests. I half expected a 3-part miniseries about the second stormtrooper from the left. Some loved it, some called it fatigue. So if Netflix seizes the keys to the Potterverse, you can almost guarantee they'll press Accio spin-offs faster than you can say Lumos. Marauders? Sorted. Aurora dramas? Absolutely. A school in Brazil or Japan? Oh, you can bet it's on the whiteboard already. But, and it's a big but, love, there's a danger in that. Because too much magic, too quickly, stops feeling like magic at all. Disney has walked that tightrope, wobbling at times. Would we want to see Harry Potter treated the same way, milked until the cauldron runs dry? Or do we prefer our wizarding tales, rare, precious, and savoured, like a good glass of fire whiskey? Now, here's where it gets even trickier. If Netflix buys Warner Bros., they also inherit HBO Max, which means the upcoming Harry Potter show technically would still be theirs. But then Netflix would face a choice. Do they keep HBO Max as a separate house, noble and distinguished, like Ravenclaw? Or do they collapse everything into one giant Netflix empire? I'm being dramatic, but you see the problem. They could bundle, merge, split, delay. In the UK, we don't even have HBO Max, so Netflix might swoop in as the global distributor, much like Disney does with Doctor Who. BBC keeps it at home, Disney beams it everywhere else. I can see the same arrangement forming, HBO for the US, Netflix for the rest of us. But what about the quality of the show itself? Well, Netflix isn't stingy. Stranger Things proves they'll spend dragon-sized piles of gold when they believe in a project. My worry, their notorious gaps between seasons. Stranger Things began in 2016. The fifth season arrives in 2025. That's 9 years, darling, for 5 seasons. Now, imagine that applied to Harry Potter. You cast 11-year-olds for Philosopher's Stone, and by the time you get to Goblet of Fire, they're, well, nearly old enough to apply for a mortgage. Either endless recastings or 20-year-olds pretending to be fourth years. Goodness, fourth years? You see my point. And the cancellations. Netflix has a rather sharp axe, doesn't it? Shows like Shadow and Bone, Mindhunter, The OA, brilliant, beloved, but cut down after a season or two. If the Harry Potter series isn't an instant cultural phenomenon, would they hesitate to cancel it? Even with billions invested? I shiver at the thought. Imagine us left with a half-finished saga, Voldemort rising, no resolution. That's the kind of dark magic even Rowling herself wouldn't dare. Still, there are perks. Theme parks, for instance. Universal has been raking in galleons with the Wizarding World attractions. If Netflix owns Potter, perhaps they'd angle for their own park. Stranger Things rides, Witcher quests, a Marauders Cafe. Oh, tell me you wouldn't queue for that. So here we are, love. Nothing is certain yet. Warner Bros. Hasn't been sold, no quills have signed the parchment, but the show, that is certain. Cameras will roll, wands will wave, and the boy who lived will live again. The only question is whose banner will fly above the castle gates when the series finally arrives on our screens. HBO's or Netflix's? Oh, and before I vanish like a disillusioned wizard, do make sure you're subscribed, darling. I'll be here untangling every twist, every whisper, every behind-the-scenes spell cast on this franchise we love. So, my darling lore explorer, that's where we stand. Harry Potter's grand HBO reboot is marching ahead. But if Netflix really does buy Warner Bros., the entire fate of the series, and perhaps the whole wizarding world on screen, could shift overnight. More spin-offs, longer waits between seasons, maybe even the dreadful specter of cancellation. Or perhaps a golden age where Hogwarts, DC heroes, and every story under Warner's roof lives together in Netflix's vault. The truth? It's still all up in the air, like a golden snitch just out of reach. But whatever happens, the boy who lived is about to live again. And I'll be right here, untangling every rumor, every whisper, every spell behind the scenes.